Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Growth Graph. Today, it's Ben and I in the studio.
Hey everyone, nice to be back. It's been a couple of days.
It's been a few days, right?
Yeah, I think we had our last one last week Friday. Today is a Wednesday.
Yep.
Just so that you know, we don't really push out on the same day sometimes. So if you see this on a Thursday, then you know that we recorded it the previous day.
Thanks for that.
But hey, that's how content works. Right? Awesome. So how has your couple of days been?
It's been here and there. We've had some major overhauls
Hmm.
in the company structure.
Yep.
We've hired a few people
Yep.
and we're hiring more people.
Yes.
And we hired a person to hire more people.
That's so true. Yes, we hired a recruiter who is essentially going to end up hiring more people for us. So
Yeah.
if you're watching this and you'd love to work in a startup environment and work with us, come learn tons, then the opportunity is there. Check out our LinkedIn and you'll see all the ads that keep coming out. Having said that, like you said, we have hired a person to hire others,
Mhm.
which is kind of interesting because we knew that we needed somebody to take on that extra responsibility. And I found it very, very interesting because as an organization and as a startup, we're evolving. We're also changing in the way we are talking about ourselves. And so multiple times uh, I've had us come back to leadership huddles where we say, okay, but how do we talk about who we are to somebody else? Or how do we talk about what we do to this kind of person? So a sales angle is very different. A recruitment angle is very different. And so it's all over the place. You can't say the same thing, right?
No, the thing is, one thing that I've been noticing the last couple of days when we talk to a lot of people and we try to bring them on board, right?
Right.
A lot of people do go check out what you are doing,
Right.
and it's one of a few places that they actually check this out. One is your website because
Of course.
that's like your reception, right? Like you walk into an office, they give you like a brochure of what you do,
Which
and
company doesn't have a website these days?
I know, right? So yeah, that's one of the main things that they
Right.
do. They check out your LinkedIn because that's where your professional
Yep.
content is out there,
Yep.
and they also check out things like Instagram these days because that's where your cultural team building things are out there.
Right.
What you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis, like almost a behind the scene of how the culture is going to be when you join our organization.
That's a very interesting concept because I remember we had a conversation with one of our interns some time back, and the
Right.
intern said, "Oh, I visited your Instagram page, and it was all quotes and it was all very technical. I didn't see
Correct.
a single human being, so I wasn't sure if you guys are a bot company."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
So it's very essential to be aware of what you're posting, where you're posting, and who you're essentially talking to, right?
Right.
Because as a B2B company, you end up posting it on channels which are not really B2B.
Mm,
So most of your sales conversation or conversations with your potential clients or customers don't happen on social media.
right.
It's only to a point of discovery, or
Generate
that's
that interest essentially.
that's exactly the amount of things that happen on social media, I guess.
Right.
As a B2B company, things happen offline or online, but not on social channels, right?
Right.
Because most of these channels are consumed by everyday people and not decision makers. Of course, decision makers are a good part of people, but it helps not to be too targeted, I feel,
Okay.
if that's a thing.
So I think I love where we're going with this conversation because a lot of the times I think people don't realize that in the content world, there is no B2B or B2C platform. There's just one platform that you're posting in. So if it's LinkedIn, you're posting to LinkedIn.
Yep.
But everybody says, oh, you should be B2B positioned or B2C positioned, or, who are you talking to, and all of that. And there's so many different theories behind it.
Mm.
Great. I mean, I love the classifications. But at the end of the day, I think we're still posting on LinkedIn. And even if it is a B2B content,
Mm.
as they call it, who's actually consuming it? Is the business consuming it?
So, the way I see it, right? Like, yes, your clients do consume it, but they don't discover you through your content. They are already aware that you exist, and that's when they come and check out your page.
Right.
Unless your content is has that viral coefficiency, right? And that usually doesn't come to a salesy thing. Okay, let me ask you one thing. What was a most memorable LinkedIn post that you've seen in the last week? Something that comes to your mind.
Wow. I That's a tough one, actually. Um, okay, this has actually got to do because there's an emotional quotient attached to
Absolutely.
that
Hmm.
particular post. That post simply had a whole set of African sayings,
Hmm.
right? Uh, the rain can't wash away a leopard's spots, for
Oh,
example.
nice.
What that means is who you are on the inside cannot be washed away by your external influences,
Hmm.
right? There are a whole bunch of these African sayings. I think 15 or 20 of them, and this one gentleman had consolidated it together. Don't remember his name, but I'll definitely tag him. All right, and that post. But essentially, that was the one thing, and it resonated with me personally because I grew up in Africa, and a lot of those sayings I had actually heard,
Hmm.
right? And I grew up with them, and so it touched the very, as they say, the heartstring, touched the heartstring. So that was probably the simple, easy way of, or the easiest way of saying, that's my go-to post that I remember in the last 1 week.
Great. For me, it was a post about Madras Day.
Mm.
Because I grew up in Madras, or Chennai.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
all
know.
the newbies out there, it used to be called Madras, and now
Uh,
it is Chennai.
so it's about Madras days, and it had all these quotes from famous retro Tamil movies,
Oh,
and
wow.
all of the quotes had the Madras Tamil slang in it.
Oh,
And
right.
so and the posters were designed very beautifully, and it had the image of
Got
the
it.
thing and whatnot. It's done by an ad agency. I
Okay.
will also tag them.
Yep.
so so these so notice how all of this are, you know emotionally driven, right?
Right.
It's not B2B content at all.
Correct.
It's something that I would possibly share to everybody in the office. I mean,
Right.
you would probably do that.
Right.
I don't know if you've already done that. So, so I think these are the type of content that really, is share worthy
Right.
and goes viral, and it really sticks with people, right?
Got it.
So when you write a post about, hey, for all your B2B marketing needs, contact
Mhm.
this agency, it really doesn't work. So, even in what is considered as a B2B,
Right.
a platform like LinkedIn, the content is not B2B as you would imagine.
Right. And I think the assumption is that because the company's positioning is B2B, the content also needs to be B2B. But at the end of the day, the way I see it is, you have produced content
Mhm.
which is being consumed by individuals
Right.
on the other side. So it's still an end user, is still an individual person.
Mhm.
If you cannot connect to that person at the end of the day,
Mhm.
then you've not created it purposefully, right?
That's great. Also, one one crutch that we use, which is also a great tool, right? So there's pros and cons with
Huh.
everything that we do, is basically defining your ICPs. Defining your
Right.
ICPs is excellent when you are producing targeted content,
Yep.
but it only works if you can deliver it to them.
Agreed.
So if you are putting up a social media post for like, for example, for argument's sake, a C-suite decision makers in like a large enterprise,
Mm.
unless you can deliver it to them, it
Right.
doesn't make sense to put all your social media posts targeted to that one person. Your vocabulary is going to be all technical.
Right.
You're going to talk about one specific pain point. Yes, I understand that your offering, right, as
Right.
a B2B
Is a
service
solution.
provider is targeted, but still it's uh, there is no objective for the content. Probably a newsletter sent to like a C-suite email list would have more benefit than a social media post in that case.
Correct. And I think another thing that I just got like, it's like a light bulb moment, right? um B2B content is usually termed as content that doesn't necessarily have like, it's very technical, it's very nuanced, it's very um, business to business relation type, right?
Right,
Whereas B2C is you have to reach the endpoint customer at all times.
right.
But the reality is that the B2B post or content that you're pushing out
Hmm.
also needs to have that following if it has to get distributed wider,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So um, you still end up back with the same metrics of how many people saw this and all of that, even though it wasn't really for them. But if
Exactly.
that is not there, we can't say, hey, there is reach. So there's like conflicting ideologies in the way that B2B is looked at, which I find really strange, because at the end of the day, if you know who you are producing it for, and like you said, if you can get that directly to them,
Hmm.
to those personas, then now you have a very targeted approach. You know who you are creating something for, you know what they would potentially like. Generally, leadership is interested in numbers, figures, and all of those kind of elements. So
Yep.
you know that that's the audience that you're going to capture anyway. And the more of that audience starts liking it, sharing it, commenting on it, you find that it gets shared to more people of that format, because the algos are written in those kind of formats in the back end. We don't know what the algos are, but these are all best estimated guesses.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you realize that it starts spreading amongst those kind of people like wildfire because of the type of content that you have created, right?
Got it. Got it.
The intent for which it was produced, right? And then another factor that I found very, very interesting was, if you're not consistent with what you do,
Hmm.
it kind of like tapers off. You have to build that momentum, and it has to be consistent. It can be once a week,
Yep.
doesn't matter,
Yep. Yep.
right? But it has to be consistent.
Yep.
And so what most people do is, I don't have the time, I will do 20 posts and then push it in 2 days, and then have the next 20 days doing nothing,
That's true.
right? At the end of the day, algo doesn't change whether it's B2B content or B2C.
B2C content. Yeah. That's right. I read a very interesting tweet. I want to share this.
Sure. Oh, he's got his phone out.
Yep.
Ah,
So it says, I just read an article citing a company's success and its remarkable ability to churn out content.
right.
No successful brand churns out content. They produce it with care and optimize it with love.
Amazing. So
This is
who's actually done this? Where?
this is by a person called Handley.
Okay.
I follow her on Instagram and LinkedIn, and she is an evangelist for this concept called full funnel content strategy.
Okay.
So basically, she also has a podcast called Marketing Profs Podcast. A big shout out! You have to listen to
Okay.
it if you're a marketing professional. If you are a serious marketing professional, you already are listening to it.
Right.
So, a full funnel content strategy is a brilliant way to identify and create personalized content for your buyers, right?
Right.
So we'll put out a chart out there on screen, and you can see like there are three main levels in your buyer funnels,
Right.
which is top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. So if for you have to create content for all three
Right.
stages, right? And you're creating different content types for various stages of your buyer journey.
Right.
Top of the funnel, people are just being aware, or they don't realize they have a problem, or they have just realized that they have a problem and they need a solution for this.
Right.
And this is where all your social media posts, your articles, your blogs,
Very nascent kind of information or content that
yes, absolutely, your YouTube videos, everything is there for people to discover you and discover the issue that they are already having, but they don't realize that.
Got it.
There's an easy way to do this, right?
Right.
Middle of the funnel is where they are aware and they understand that they need a solution for this.
Got it.
And but they are evaluating the market, they're looking at your competitors. So this is where you produce competitive analysis, your
How I'm better than the other person.
okay.
No, like
But if you want to say that, yeah. They also produce give you offers, free
Right.
trials, and things like that.
Got it.
And bottom of the funnel is where you close the account. So you do demos, you bring them on board, you do webinars, you do roundtables, you do events.
Right.
Everything is a very bottom of the funnel activity.
Right.
So you see how content type changes based on various buyer journey.
Got it.
And this exercise will help you greatly target your audience better, basically, right?
Right.
So when you do a blog post, it's not for somebody who's actively considering,
Right.
or going to be, closing. You're not actively in dialogue with them. Instead, you're creating more awareness about the problem or giving more solutions to the problem itself.
Right.
So this is going to help you create more curated content, personalized to different audience. Your ICP, but where they fit in the buyer journey, in the sales funnel, is going to determine how you produce good content.
And Handley, you were saying, is the person?
Yep.
Okay. I think everyone should really have a look at Anne Handley, and big shout out to her as well. Awesome. So I completely get what you're saying, AJ, and I understand how the whole funnel is a critical element in the buyer journey. But going back to what we were talking about, content, right? And when we put it on platforms like social media platforms, a fundamental element that we kind of forget is that, let's say, for example, you're putting out a video on YouTube.
Right.
You're a B2B company who's put out a YouTube video. Who's your actual competitor? And everybody will go and say, oh, it's the competitor of this company that is posting. But the reality is quite different, isn't it?
Yep. Because since the platform itself is very open to everybody who uses it,
right?
And YouTube in itself curates based on your interest and whatnot. It really comes down to discoverability, right?
Right.
So what kind of content does everybody consume, or your user consume? And people go on YouTube not seeking out B2B content, is what I feel. So essentially, on a platform like YouTube, you are essentially competing with somebody like Mr. Beast, right?
Right. Irrelevant of what type of content that you're pushing out.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's going to be a challenge.
Right. Yeah, so you're fighting against the biggest B2C consumers out. I mean, B2C content out there,
yeah,
even if you are a B2B content generator.
you're fighting against the beast, quite literally.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So if you're really fighting the beast, it means you really need to be careful about how you are producing this content that you're producing in the first place, right? And you were talking about viral moments, and you're talking about things that has the shareability coefficiency, right?
Right.
How do we I mean, is it possible that you can look at all of that when we create content?
I mean, there are a lot of tools, and when you're starting out, people usually throw Google Trends out there,
Mm,
where you try and identify what people are talking about and how
right.
much how it have been searched and whatnot. Google Trends is a great tool to,
It is. It
it's
is.
fine. But
Especially because Google basically where everybody goes to search for stuff. So,
exactly.
very easy.
But today I want to talk about one tool that we discovered, and
Oh, yeah.
it's been a game changer in our content discoverability and
Discovery strategy, so to speak.
discovery strategy, if that's even a word. Okay.
Right.
So, so this tool is called Buzzsumo. And this has been a game changer literally for us to even ideate about what we need to talk about online, right? Very, very quickly, how it works is if you wanted to talk about a particular topic, let's say you want to talk about
B2B content.
B2B content, or if you want to be more specific, we can say, I want to talk about CRM
Okay.
tools, for example, right?
Right.
Once you put the keyword in, there's a beautiful word cloud that comes on your screen, and it'll tell you what in CRM are people talking about right now.
Right.
And you can look at the trends weekly. You can understand what's being trending this week as opposed to a month or a year and whatnot,
Right.
and what has worked, what type of content. You can go actually look at all those posts
Right.
across various platforms. That's the best part, right?
Oh, wow. So you can actually see what's going on LinkedIn, what's going on in Twitter, what's going on.
Yes, you can see what videos have worked, how
Wow.
long has this video been, and what they're talking about on that
Right.
video. So it's very easy for you to spot patterns,
Right.
and create and optimize your content. And
And since you already have a list of existing content, you know that content along those lines are going to really do well because those are the trending topics that everybody's talking about.
absolutely.
Phenomenal.
So
Buzzsumo.
Buzzsumo,
That's the buzzword right now.
that's the buzzword. And again, not endorsed.
Right.
But it's just something that we discovered, and
A
we've
tool
been
that
trying
we
it.
use.
Yeah, we've been trying it out for a few weeks, and it's worked very well for us.
Awesome.
And so Ben,
Yes.
we've come to that part of the episode where you
Oh my gosh. Word of insight
Word of-
or
word of wisdom.
words of wisdom. Okay, and I get put on the hot seat all the time, whether it's AJ or Joe. I mean, I seem to be the one there. Okay, cool. So I don't know if this is like a word of wisdom, but this is like a simple acronym that I kind of keep at the top of my mind when thinking about content or producing content, and the acronym is called PIC. PIC simply means there's a purpose in what you are doing in terms of the content. It's integrated, so it's not just sitting in silos in one platform and not in the other. C is consistency. We spoke about that. You need to keep repeating and doing things regularly. And K is there should be knowledge. So you could talk about statistics. You could talk about knowledge bombs, insights, all of those different things. So that's my word of wisdom. PIC.
Great. So that's it for us today, and we'll
See you
see
next
you
time.
guys next time.